Hello, beloved Twin Flames and Light Workers. This is Steph Parashar, Divine Light, coming out to you from New Zealand, Aotearoa. And I do apologise for the long delay in between my last video and this one coming out. I wanted to try and get something out to you for Christmas, but it was very, very busy and I went away on holiday and spent time with family. And now I'm back and wanting to get this video out to you on New Year's Eve. I'm recording this on the 31st of December 2018 as we head towards the new year, 2019. And I've been tuning into the themes that are coming up for Twin Flames and Light Workers that have been sort of brewing and simmering away towards the end of this 2018, over the last few months. And as we go into 2019, really important if you're able to take the time to sit with yourself, find some quiet time, find some time and space to just be with yourself, to connect in to your own individual essence and to work out and to connect in with your higher self and source energy, to be in alignment with your soul purpose, with why you are here and your identity and who you are as a person and all of those things, and coming into developing a plan for this year. Would be a really awesome thing if you can take the time before the new year or even on the New Year's Day to set this in a structured form for being able to. One of the key themes and the words that have been coming up for me has been the word integration. Now, when I introduce my videos, I used to just talk to twin flames. It was very much a twin flame specific information that I was tuning into. But as the journey has continued, I feel more around the fact that I've said it before, that most twin flames that figure out that they are on a twin flame journey, the craziness of it, and realise what's happened, are already light workers on a spiritual path, evolving and ascending and upgrading and wanting to evolve as humans, and that the twin flame mission is a part of sort of like a small part or a big part of the fuller, bigger light worker mission. And so what's been happening as we're evolving, as we're continuing to evolve as humans, the twin flame mission is also evolving along with it, and the two are very interlinked. And what seems to have been the case in the last 3 to 6 months has been the light worker mission has sort of come to the forefront and become more important, and that sort of being upfront, and the twin flame, whatever's going on in the twin flame, is sort of an offshoot, I guess, of the larger mission, or the energies that are around the bigger mission of the light worker mission will filter down to the twin flame mission as a sort of a filter down effect. So whatever work you are doing as a twin flame, it interlinks. It's a feedback. It joins together and links together. But they are, at times, you'll find there are specific things you're working on that are very much related to more of the twin flame mission. And the twin flame mission is generally specifically around such things as anything to do with relationships. So when we're dealing with clearing and cleansing out the old templates relating to relationships, such as codependency, fears of rejection and abandonment, power and control issues, and also a big one, the gender roles that we have created to do with relationships. That's another big one that twin flames are working on. And it might seem to some that spirituality and twin flames and light workers is all these labels and things that are related to these concepts, but what we're actually doing is very much a rubber hits the road, grounded reality, human human work. We're very much in the human realm, and a lot of what the mission involves is very much at ground level, and it's often also very much related to how we do it, how we do what we do, and why we do what we do in the human realm, and how our emotions and our thoughts are affecting our everyday life and our interactions with others, and how that plays out, and how we as spiritually evolving, soul evolving people put that into action. I have got a little bit of a sort of an allergy that comes up at this time of the year with the pine, and we have a tree in New Zealand that flowers, which is called our New Zealand Christmas tree. It's called the Parashar and has these red flowers on it, but unfortunately I'm a little bit allergic to it, so my voice might sound a little bit shaky as if I've got a cold or something, so that's what that is. So some of the other themes that are coming up for us to look at and to work with at this time on the human realm that are coming up, that obviously as we're continuing to work on the bigger theme of clearing and healing our wounds and our emotional reactions and triggers to things that are happening in the human world, and to be able to deal with situations as a light worker once we've done some of that healing work in ourselves, to be in a stronger position so that when others are suffering and experiencing their wounds, that we're in a position to be able to help and support, not rescue. I'm going to talk about that in a little minute. I'm going to go into talking a little bit more in depth about that, that place that people come from when we are helping others as light workers, and to be careful of some of the traps that we can fall into when we are on this journey of evolving and ascending and growing from a soul perspective, how we have to be careful of how the ego comes along with us on that journey and can often trick us, and we fall back in again to some people call it spiritual bypassing, where we might think that we've done our work and we've finished now, and look at all those people over there and they're still struggling, oh dear. But actually and it's not a single race that we are on that makes us better than everyone else if we're evolving and doing our inner work. It's always going to be about how can we make ourselves and the world a better place. How can we be the change that we want to see in the world, and integrating what we learn so that we can come back down to earth and be grounded enough to walk our talk and to be in that energy that does hold space for not only our own self-love and respect, but for others as well, and being that role model. So some of the things that are coming up that I'm seeing also other light workers and teachers and people on YouTube talk about, which is interesting, because I feel, again, the collective shift is really working on particular things at certain times. So as we move together as a group, certain things come up to look at and to work on. And so one of the key things that I've been discovering, that I'm working on, and I only talk about things that relate to my world as well, and what I'm working on. And when I find that other people are working on the same thing, we're all in this together, it's really, really helps, and it becomes very supportive because it feels like a bigger mission. So some of you may know that listen to my channel regularly, that I've started a job from September onwards last year. It's a new job, and it is a big step up in a role, but again, I feel that I was very much placed in that role for a reason. And of course my ego liked to think that, oh yes, I'm in this managerial position now, helping others, and it's going to be wonderful. It's in a mental health respite home to support people that are needing a break from life. And so I stepped into that role thinking, wow, I'm going to be this amazing do-gooder person in service and all of that. And then, wow, I was hit and knocked off my feet pretty much, and nailed and sort of washed over by a big tsunami of having to deal with really difficult workplace dynamics and staff that are working from a place where, and I'm not saying I'm higher or I'm also working through this as well, where the dynamics of divide and fall and backstabbing and gossiping and talking about others is rife. And so I've walked into that situation, and it's very highly emotionally charged and comes with a lot of the people in the team, the staff members, that whilst they bring such amazing skills and talents and experience to the role, also bring their own wounding as well that we're all working on as a collective. And so I've been working very hard to try and heal some of those ways of being, and to really address them and look at them. And I was using, again, coming from my own place of wounding, one of my old go-tos when I'm dealing with a situation where I'm under threat, or there's difficulty or conflict or a challenge. I'll go back into my sort of people-pleasing, doormat, where I'm trying to help, rescuer approach that just didn't work anymore. And so what I've had to learn is boundaries, and how to deal with difficult people, and how to stand up and say no when things are not right, and to be able to speak out. So I've really had to develop a lot of inner strength and resilience. And how did I do that? I had to call on Spirit to help me, because I cannot do this alone as a human in my fleshy state of being, very sensitive to other people's criticism, being very sensitive to staff that are struggling and really projecting some of their difficult, painful emotions out there onto others. I was becoming very, very sensitive to that, and my solar plexus was really affected. I was feeling the pain and really coming home at night and just very, very stressed and struggling. And what I saw was that I was needing to do the work, not only on myself, but also to take a leadership role, to step up and to really, call out that stuff and that behaviour. And as I was going through all of this, my goodness, I was bombarded and overwhelmed with the numbers 144. Like, it was just quite ridiculous, and it still is, because I'm also have a tendency to question, when I'm in a threatening environment, of course, another one of my go-tos is I'm out. I can't handle this. I'm going to go find a better place, and I'll run away. And I'll just say, no, this is not cool. This is a toxic environment. I need to get out of this. And yet the 144s were like saying pretty much, no, you're not. You're going to face this. You're going to deal with this. You're going to work through this, because we need you. You're stepping up. You're in the front line, and you're not coming out, because when you go out, that's a sign of weakness. That shows, I can't handle this. And we've been training you. I've been trained to come into the front line, to work out this stuff, as hard as it is. It's like a soldier that the first time goes out into the front line and is terrified and feels the fear, but they do it anyway, and they have to go out and be brave. And this is the same thing. This is spiritual, light work, frontline, warrior style stuff, where we have to actually get out there, get in amongst it, if you're ready. But I feel like a lot of you are ready. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, because we're putting ourselves and we're being placed into situations and environments that are not healthy. But we know they're not healthy, because we feel it, because we're sensitive, because we're empathic. But what we've got to be careful not to do is take it on and absorb it and think that it's ours, and go back into the questioning and doubt and confusion, which is what the ego does, and says, oh no. And, we've got to rise above that. We've got to do that work of where we've learnt, we've been trained. Some of us have had to understand and equip ourselves to know what we are dealing with when we're dealing with toxic people, when we're dealing with people that are have been infiltrated and affected by obviously early childhood experiences, often where there's trauma, and later on in life have developed their own protection mechanisms, which is, as we know from neurobiology, very much the way that the human system is wired for survival, is to go into their survival states, which is what I've been doing. But we now need to learn really, 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 really how to go past that and to find a way to stand in our central nervous system in a solid, grounded way where we give ourselves a moment, we take ourselves out of the situation just for a moment, not to be triggered and not to react, but to just take a moment and say, just give me a moment, I need you to stop while we just get calm here and centered so that we can deal with this situation in a way that's going to be effective for both of us, that's not going to be unhealthy, where we're both coming from our painful places, we're coming from resistance or defense or anger. And whilst we might both be feeling pain and we might be feeling under threat here, we just need to take a moment to center ourselves. So take a moment to come out. And what I found that I needed to do, because I did need to do this and I have had to do this, is to just stop, take a moment, ground, center, straight away ask for spirit, guidance, higher power, divine creator, God, Jesus, Archangel Michael, white light, whatever you need that's going to help you ground in and get centered and connect into God and be in your energy of power. That's divine light power, divine love power, and come into your center. And when you know that things aren't right, we are being asked to not just, again, throw balls of white light on it and say, oh, everything's going to be nice now, and sugarcoat everything into positivity, and let's just forget about that and sweep it under the carpet and suppress it and bury it, which is another thing that's been done where we're silenced and things have been hidden, things that are not okay, is now all coming up to the surface. And our job as light workers is not just to pretend that it's not there and pray about it and hope it goes away, but to actually call that stuff out and stand in it and say no and be really powerful. You may have heard of the saying, put on the armour of God. And again, I've been using those techniques. I was given a song some time ago when I had my early training, which I call it, which was having to deal with narcissistic, psychopathic people and discover what these people actually were. And again, it's not really about focusing on the labels of those people, because again, I got a little bit stuck in that too, where I thought, okay, these are really horrible people and I just need to learn how to stay away from them. Actually, you're going to deal with these people. That's what we're here to deal with. That's what we're here on the earth plane to do. We are going into a battle of sorts, although it's not going to be fought in the way that we have been trained to deal in battle, which is to fight. That's not that kind of fight. It's protection in terms of insulating ourselves against the shock of the emotional damage that these kind of people can put out so that we do not absorb it, and learning how to defend ourselves so that we do not take on that energy and absorb it in from the outside as well. So we need to learn those kind of tactics, but also to by not reacting, because this is the main thing. This is not ignoring. This is not reacting. So being fully aware, having the awareness that something's happening, the energy's dropped, the atmospheric pressure's dropped down, things are feeling low and dense and heavy and painful and awkward, and you're in a soup, you're in an emotional soup of yuckiness, and it's going to be hard to actually find words to deal with that situation because you're in your emotional center biologically when that happens, and you won't have the ability to access your logical mind that's going to come up with these wonderful words that's going to calm everything down. You're just going to have to try and sort of almost be silent in the moment and call out for spiritual help as soon as possible. And so these are some of the techniques that we are going to have to employ now for dealing with the world a little bit closer. I know many of us, including myself, have been in a little bit of a spiritual bubble, a spiritual cocoon, I've called it, where I've been doing a lot of my own inner work and inner healing and sort of had to protect myself from the outside world and not really wanting to sort of get my boots dirty as such or touch on it too much because it's been so painful. Even, just being in touch with the everyday world, it has just been so difficult because of the pain. And as we're healing our pain, and as we are being able to deal with it in an easier way, we're now being asked to go back in and integrate and come back in and go, yes, I know there's pain here. I know this is difficult. It's not going to go away. But my role here is to take a leadership role, to step up into the front line and to be able to deal with things in a different way. So another thing that's coming up is gossip. Now, this is a really very common, it's everywhere, people talking about other people. People talking about other people in whatever way. Talking about other people in a positive way is great, and lifting them up and saying, hey, that person's great. But even just telling stories is in general not okay about other people. The useful thing that I borrowed off someone else that I've been listening to on YouTube that I heard them say is to think, is this how a spiritual person, or is this how an archangel, or is this how God Jesus, or how Mother Mary would behave? Is this what they would say? Put yourself in their shoes and walk in them and walk in that light and be that role model for others, so that when you found yourself in a situation where others are talking about others in a negative way. And I found this, I had practiced this because I was with family over Christmas, and there were extended family and in-laws that came from the marriages of my relations and so on, that aren't really my relations directly, but they like to sort of tell these stories about others and so and so and so and so. And so what I chose to do was to disengage from the conversation at that point and hold grounded space of awareness of, I hope that you're going to realize soon that you're gossiping, and I'm not engaging in your conversation. I'm not replying. I'm not commenting. I'm not showing you any facial features or gestures that would indicate that I'm buying into or agreeing with what you're saying and how you're saying it. So I just, while I'm even in front of that person, I'm right next to them, disengaging from the conversation and showing them through that disengagement that I'm not interested. That's one way of doing it. Another way that I'm going to have to be a lot more active on is in the workplace to actually, if you're finding that that's happening, that you find a way as a light worker, because your role here this is where the rubber hits the road. It's not just to sit quietly and know that there's gossip going on and protect yourself in your spiritual bubble, but to actively go and seek change by either saying to that person, I'm no longer going to hear or speak about other people in that way. The conversation's closed, so you're stopping that person, or you go to your manager, or if you are the manager, then you implement policies in that workplace that say that this will not be tolerated, this behaviour will not be tolerated, because it is one of the ways in which the ego behaves that divides us as people, divides us in ourself. So when you're talking about someone else in a negative way, it's pretty much guaranteed that someone else is going to be talking about you in a negative way, perhaps 10 times more. That's kind of the karmic effect that happens. And when we talk about karma, it's more about the negative effect that happens in the universe, in the energetic field, when you are experiencing an emotion that's basically against your soul self, or against your truth of who you are as a beautiful being of light and love. So when you are experiencing the ego, basically the ego is what creates karma. When we're experiencing the ego, we're experiencing the doubt, the confusion, the negativity, the fear, and the hatred, the anger, the disrespect, the resistance, all of those things. That is what creates karma. Karma is the negative effect of the ego, basically. So if you can try and avoid recreating more effects of the ego in the energy field and coming into alignment with your soul self, your higher self, your God self, and walking in those shoes and being that every moment, that is what's going to help. So we also have this is a spiritual talk, but it's also about grounding this in to reality, to our physical reality that we're working with, that we are on right now. And it's not about saying, oh, I'm in the fifth dimension now, so I don't even experience those things anymore because I just live in my fifth dimensional world. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say that's spiritual bypassing when we talk like that. And I really believe that we're not here to avoid the so-called realities of what humanity is facing. We're here to be in amongst it, to help clean up that stuff, to make it a better world for us to live in, so that everyone can join that. Yes, there is the fifth dimension, but let's help others be in that as well. Let's help others join that by being the example and living that example. But sometimes you're going to have to get a bit dirty in the process. Sometimes this last few months, I've had to be putting on my raincoat, my gumboots, and getting really dirty with the shit that's been flying around. And sometimes we have to because we're here on the earth plane. Yes, we're trying to ascend. Yes, we are doing all of that. But at the same time, we have to integrate it back in, going back and forth in between the dimensions. When you feel yourself experiencing third dimensional space reality, time continuum, you can have the awareness that you're in it. It doesn't mean you have to jump out of it and run away from it. It means, what can I do here to influence this environment and this situation to help people raise their vibration and to increase their awareness of their true soul self, and to come out of that negativity and fear that the ego creates, that creates some of that heavier density stuff. Okay, that's what it's about. And we've been given some wonderful tools to understand how to bridge our way out of that. And so the bridge, I'm just going to pause for a second. The bridge between the third and the fifth dimension is what we call the fourth dimension, which I interpret as the emotional realm. The emotional realm, the psychological realm, where we get a handle on our thoughts and our emotions and how they interact together, and how we can evolve out of some of our ways of thinking that are not helpful and have been fear-based, and how we can evolve out of our feelings and our emotions that are sometimes very, very gripping, that are related to and very much connected to those very fearful but fear-based beliefs. So how do we do that? We use our tools that we've got in the world of psychology and emotional intelligence and body work and therapy, and all of that realm are very, very helpful. They're very, very helpful tools on the bridge. So people try and skip that step and think that they can. That's spiritual bypassing. That's when we think, I'm just going to get to the fifth dimension by meditating and staying calm and being in a blissful state all of the time. And they're actually suppressing and denying. That's another ego trap that people fall into, and they forget that they've actually got to work through some of the really difficult emotions that are present in the human body, that are there through time of having experienced pain and trauma and living in fear. And so we do need to process these and work through them and transmute them. People don't like them. Yes, we don't like this stage because it is painful, because it is difficult, because we really have to look at stuff. This is where we have to look at our shadow, which is that the ego's representation of what's going on, and we fall into that too. But we still need to work through our emotions that are coming up and coming through. Why do you think we're having these volcanoes going off and these tsunamis happening? And why do you think we have to clean up our oceans? That's a representation of the shit that we have down the bottom. It's like the sediment on the bottom of the ocean that's getting stirred up for us to clean up. We're still in that cleanup. We're still doing that for the masses of people that are coming through, and for ourselves too. So how do we show that we can help others through that? So when you're sitting in the fifth dimensional bubble space in the spiritual bypass zone, which is, I'm just going to sit up here and pretend that I don't have any of that. you're not actually dealing with it at all. You're actually in judgment, and you're in your own fear, and you're in denial. So how we deal with that is we come to the ground level and we say, I'm going to love myself and accept myself in each moment through my pain, and I'm going to allow my body to process this pain however it needs to do it and not judge it for it. So this is a non-judgmental space. It's a space of acceptance and to allow your emotions to flow through. I saw this in my brother and his son. My nephew is 10 years old, and we were watching a movie together, and it was a movie where it was actually the movie about an earthquake actually and a tsunami, which is called the San Andreas movie, I think it's called. And this movie had a scene where a lot of people died, and my little nephew, who's 10, he's a boy, he started crying, and he was just like, oh, my eyes are, I've got water coming out of my eyes. And it was like he sort of didn't even realise what was happening. He was kind of shocked at himself. And he said, I'm crying. And he was kind of laughing to deal with the emotion. He was laughing as these tears were rolling down his face. And I just thought that was really beautiful, because I've always known my nephew to be very sensitive. And his dad, through seeing that, my brother, he also had, the mirror neuron effect, where he also started crying too, because he could see his son was crying. So he teared up, and he gave his son a little talk about, sometimes I feel that too, and I've got this thought that comes in, I'm a man and I shouldn't be crying, but then I say, nah, that's dumb. I say, and we all had a talk about the fact that we're all human. And why should half of the human race be not allowed to experience their emotions when they're actually just human? And that, again, here's another gender issue that twin flames have come to work through as well, where for half of the human race, our gendered males are told they're not to experience these deep emotions, and it becomes very hard and difficult and blocked. But it was really lovely to see an expression of emotion in my own family within the males in my family. It was pretty beautiful. And we, and how do we deal with that while we're sitting in that room? We just don't judge it. We just allow it to come forward. And I made a little joke about my little nephew, when he was a baby, used to cry when the windscreen wipers used to be put on the car, and we always knew that he was going to be sensitive, and that's a beautiful gift to have as a human, to be sensitive and compassionate, to care, to shed tears when a large number of people are dying in that movie. What a beautiful gift to have that compassion and empathy for others. So to allow, when they come up, for our emotions not to be judged, to be processed through, will help the process along, will allow it to come through, and it will allow us then, when we don't judge ourselves, to not judge others when they're experiencing their difficult emotions and going through this bridging part of the journey. So, some of what I was going to talk about, I think I'll just leave for now. I think it was a little bit to do with the gossip and the blame, because I realised I'm going on a little bit here and the video is becoming very long, and they're always hard to upload when they're this long. But I was going to refer to a little bit of how another theme that we're going to be working on together as a group, as a collective, is the victim blame mentality, and to be really watching out for this as well. And there's a really great triangle that's out there that's been used in psychology to explain what happens when people go into victim blame, and it's called the Cartman triangle, the Cartman drama triangle. So to watch for yourself when you may end up in this, you can research it. I might leave some links below that show and describe in a really good article on this. In fact, I'd been researching this to do with my work because there's a new triangle that came out. And instead of, in this triangle, you've got the victim, the rescuer, and the persecutor. And I won't go into this in great detail, but there's a new empowerment triangle that came out that has renamed these three places and gives us new options and alternatives of behaviour to step off of that drama triangle and not play those roles any longer. And these new roles become, the victim becomes the creator, The rescuer becomes the coach and the persecutor becomes the challenger. Those of you that haven't already looked into this model, I would really recommend you go and have a look at it, because it really helps us, again, where the rubber hits the road. This is the bridging place of the emotions and the thoughts in the realm of how we do our work, how we actually integrate, how we walk on this planet and become new in our ways of working with others. And this is a place where we can't skip through spiritual bypassing. We have to go through it. We need to learn new ways of communicating with others, how to respond, not react. And there's some great life coaches out there that sit in this bridging realm, and therapists and body workers and trauma specialists and people that can really work on this stuff with you, that can walk us through, and that are standing on that bridge in such a beautiful place. And I'm being given goosebumps to honour these people and to work with them and to spend the money, to spend the time where you're going to be working on yourself and working through some of these issues in order to also be able to stand on that bridge and help others too. So I think I am going to leave it there. Actually I did do oh my gosh, this is a really long video. I don't normally do this long, but 35 minutes. Okay, I did have some cards, but I think maybe I might just leave it there. Okay, I'm hearing just keep going, because other people do videos that are long and people listen to them and they really need this information at this time. So I guess going along with the theme, I pulled a Lightworker card for the Lightworker themed situations and energies that are going on at the moment of what may help you at this time. And I got number 25, Merkaba, Spiritual Protection. Being open to receive is a way to gain empowerment, strength, and all manner of assistance. To enhance receptivity, it can be helpful to declutter and cleanse your energy field. This allows for that which is not rightfully yours to be shed. Sometimes this will include the disowned thoughts and feelings of others. When you release these thoughts and feelings, a spaciousness will grow within you. Then you can receive more of what is rightfully meant to be for you, your divine good in all ways. An open, sensitive person can easily become energetically overloaded. From physical pain to emotional and psychological tension, an overload does not feel good. You may even feel like you are carrying others on your back or in your head. The added weight can drag your naturally light vibration down into anguish, doubt, fear, or despair. Your inner vision too may be obscured by the overload. That can make it hard to discern what is yours and what belongs to another. Whether experiencing overload to your system is an unusual occurrence for you, or you have a tendency to absorb and process others' energies, which is common for healers, psychics, and mediums. Yes, and I'll put myself in there. You will benefit from a spiritual cleansing. Afterwards, you may feel less inclined to connect with particular people or work on certain ideas, even if they seem very important before the cleanse. This means that you are freeing yourself from others' input and discerning the true priorities of your own heart. To accept a spiritual cleansing now, repeat this invocation. So I'm going to give you the invocation because I think this is going to help a large number of us. I call upon unconditionally loving divine protection. The sacred chamber of light, the Merkaba of divine light, is around me now. I choose of my own free will, under divine authority and grace, to release any and all connections, content and contaminants that do not serve me through unconditional love. I choose of my own free will to take my life journey in the most joyful and loving way possible. I open to divine grace for cleansing and protection of my integrity at all times. I am free to simply be the truth of me. May all beings be blessed and protected. So be it. Now, sorry, I had missed a bit on that page, but there was a little bit about when you've had a spiritual cleanse, often you'll need to sleep. And, I think it's really important to bring this into our daily practice. I have talked about this, and even myself, I forget to make sure I do this as a ritual. So it's going to be really important to continue our rituals of cleansing and clearing our energy field if we have a tendency to absorb to ground in and to center and to align with our higher self and divine source, and to ask for the protection as well to go about our daily life, and to ask for either God's Spirit to walk with us or walk through us or act through us, to give us the words, to give us the strength. If we feel we are wavering and we're a bit wobbly and we're not able to go through it, that's okay, it's understandable, but call on Spirit for help and support. Really use your techniques and tools that you've got already. Make sure that you are filling yourself up as well with soulful information and resonant information that helps you feel uplifted and stronger and guided to carry on and do the work. Know that we are a big team, that we work together, that there are others like us. Although sometimes it may feel like you're the only one, you're not. We are strength in numbers. We're all, a number of us, especially if you're seeing the 144s, being asked to step up now. Now, as for the specific twin flame part of that mission, I feel that this is the mission right now, the 144s, the stepping into the front line, the integrating. When you are integrating and you've actually shown through your actions where the rubber hits the road, and you are acting and following through and being able to hold space and not react and respond and be a leader in your field, and really show to the universe and the energetic field that you're working in, that you're solid, that you're strong, that you can hold space. This is going to definitely affect your connection with your twin flame. It's going to definitely show that you are strong enough and energetically able enough to hold space for yourself, and that you're not going to be falling into some of these traps of needing others to help you in terms of your twin flame, or needing your twin flame to be there for you. That you are strong in your own right. Strong in your own right is very important right now. Particularly if you identify with the divine feminine energies as a divine feminine partner. This is the merging of the inner masculine and feminine, when you're able to stand and protect yourself, and when your masculine is strong to come in your inner masculine. This is some of what this is relating to in the twin flame mission, as well as this inner masculine strength, which is not about fighting and from a place of fear. It's about standing in your power, just standing there and being the strength of light, and just knowing that your energy is affecting and helping others, and that you're really continuing to work on strengthening this within yourself, that you are safe in yourself, that you're grounded in yourself, that you feel that you can hold your own and you're protected, that you're no longer feeling. You can be vulnerable, you can feel weak, but you're okay about not needing to use any of the defense mechanisms, the old defense mechanisms to hide that you can actually say, I'm really uncomfortable with this situation right now, I'm feeling that it's not okay, can we sit together and do something about this together? Because underneath that other person's reaction, underneath that other person's really strong emotional reaction of fear, is their vulnerability, and you're showing your vulnerability as courage to enable you to hold space for others to be okay with theirs. Okay, there's a lot of work here. There's a lot of work to be done. Don't forget your setting up your plan for the year and setting your intentions, writing down your goals, getting in touch with your inner guidance and your path and where you're heading and what you would like to achieve this year, and really get in touch with that now, and allow that to flow through you into this new year where it's about you. And make sure within that plan that you're putting in time for yourself to get the support that you need. Perhaps sign up for a course or a workshop or a regular therapy session, so that you can be supported in your role. It's not that you're standing out there alone being this light warrior. You also need to have the support that you need in order to do your role properly. That's about receiving the support and the help that you need as well. Again, another imbalance that's been out there in the energy fields, as well as being able to receive. Okay, I am going to leave it there. I know it's been a long one, but I think it's been an important one to set the energies on a good path for this coming new year, 2019. I wish you all very well for this beautiful new year that's coming in, to help support us as light workers, and also to help support those on the planet that are also needing our support as light workers. Okay, beloveds, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for listening, and if anyone would like some individual work or support, please get in touch with me via the links below. I'm doing sessions for people, so please check it out. Okay, lots of love. Bye for now.